everybody out there, this is Tom. Today I want to talk about the ADX, this indicator right down in here. This indicator was developed by Wells Wilder in the 1970s, and what it is, it's a trend following indicator. There's three lines to the ADX here. In the black line we have the plus DI. And the red line we have the minus DI, and the blue line we have the ADX. Now the whole indicator is called the DMI, but I only pay attention to the ADX portion, and here's why. For my trading anyway, the positive DI line, this black line here, when this is on top of the red line, it's saying that we're in a bull market. When the red line is on top, then it's saying we're in a bear market. But anyone can tell just by looking at the chart if you're in a bear market or a bull market. So I don't pay attention to the black line or the red line. All I pay attention to is the ADX line. For my trading, just that blue line right there. Now the trick with the ADX, and this is something that takes a little, it's not a hard concept, but it's totally different from a lot of indicators. The ADX will rise, since it's a trend following indicator, the ADX will rise in a trend. That trend could be up, that trend could be down, okay? So let's look at here. Here we have the US dollar. It broke resistance. The ADX turned up. Market went in a bull run. Okay. Over in here, especially over in here, we broke support. The US dollar went in a bear market. The ADX rose. Okay. So a rising ADX does not mean necessarily a bull market or a bear market. It just means a trending market. So if a market if a market's making lower highs and lower lows, the ADX will rise with that, saying we're in a bear market. Okay? I want to get it's kind of different from other indicators. But a rising ADX does not necessarily mean a bull market. It means a trending market. That market could be an uptrend, and it could also be a downtrend. As we see here, market's in an uptrend, ADX rises. Market's in a downtrend, the ADX rises. Okay? So that is the ADX. Now, I like the ADX because it's been said that markets tend to trend a couple times a year, maybe, right? So I look for key support and resist chart patterns, and when we have a breakout, I look for the ADX to go with it. So let's just look at some key areas here. Here we have the US dollar. It broke resistance. Okay, ADX rose and went with it. Down here we got the market. It breaks support. ADX rose and went with it. Okay, now let's look at something here that's a little interesting on these charts. The key level here is this 30 area. Some people use 40. When the ADX gets above 30, that's a pretty strong indicator that the market's in a trend. But when the ADX is rising and then it hooks down, if it's above this 30 area right over here, then you have the potential of a top, a top or a bottom in the market. So let's just look at it. Here we have the ADX. It hooks down. Not that. Hooks down right around in here, and the market tops in there. There ADX hooks down, calls a bottom. ADX is above 30, it hooks down, calls a bottom. Okay? So that's what's really neat about the ADX. When it gets above this 30 line and it's rising, you know, a lot of times it can call turning points in a market. Not all the time, nothing's 100%, but it's a pretty good indicator of picking turning points in a market. Let's look at another one here. Here we go. There we go. Market breaks out. Market tops. Look at it. Every time the ADX gets above this 30 line, the market, you know, calls some pretty decent turning points, as we can just see. We're not talking trading here. I just want to teach about, you know, what to look for in the ADX. When we get above that 30 line, here we had a downtrend. ADX was rising with it, and it hooks down, and it calls the end of the downtrend. Then we go on a bull run. ADX hooks down. It's well above 30. We're up here above 60, which is insane levels. Market hooks down. It calls a top. Now, it didn't call the top. And we'll get with this in the next video, but in part 2, but it called a top. Okay? The market breaks out again. The ADX turns up with the breakout, and then it calls the top here when the ADX hooked down. Now, the ADX does lag a day or two. Okay? Almost every indicator lags. So, after this down day, the ADX turned over, and then that's your signal for the next day. Just you know, bring up your stop or just get out of the open. Just get out of the market. But all I want to point out here are these areas when the ADX, this blue line, gets above 30 and hooks down, how we tend to have some pretty decent turning points in the market. Now over here it did turn down, and it was kind of a false hook down because a week or two later we went to new highs. But the good thing about the ADX is when it does turn down prematurely and the market goes to new highs, the ADX will, if the move's going to be any good, the ADX will rise with that. So that's when you just say to yourself, okay, looks like we had a false breakdown in the ADX, the market went to new highs, ADX went with it, re-enter a long position. That's the best way to deal with those situations. So let's just look here. Here we got wheat. Wheat broke a support level here, and ADX went with it. ADX just barely got above 30 and then hooked down, saying the bear market was over, and in this case it was. The market bottomed, and then the market went on a nice bull. ADX is above 60. There we got another one. And since then the ADX hasn't done anything. It's just been falling. So that is the ADX portion. In the next video I want to talk a little bit about on entries and exits a little bit, and explain a little bit more about this indicator. And alright, see you next video.